Today's competitive speculation slash analysis will be for that of the Ninja Frog, also known as Greninja. So starting with typing, as always, we have a Water Dark type, which has a fairly decent offensive spread. You do have 5 super effectives and a small-ish list of Pokemon that resist both of these typings. But the super effective percentage is actually not that high for dual typing. And defensively, it's not bad. You do resist more things than you are weak to, so that's fine. It's just the kind of weaknesses that this Pokemon has might actually be an issue when we discuss its actual viability in a VGC format. And it is hard to pick a defensive Terra type that covers all of these. The best one would be Fire, though, because that will resist Bug, Grass, and Fairy. Moving on to abilities, we have the starter special, which is Torrent, and the hidden ability is Protein. Now we're not going to be talking about Ash Greninja because that's its own separate thing, but the hidden ability Protein used to be a very good ability. Nowadays, since it will only activate once per switch in, it doesn't really have the same utility that it used to, but there are definitely use cases for Protein. It's just not really that strong of an ability right now. Now, Greninja has an interesting stat spread because we have a relatively mixed attack stats with a little bit more on the special attack side, but it's not a massive amount more. And while the bulk is relatively minimal, especially on the physical side, this does have quite a nice speed stat. And while it is going to be slower than some of the faster Paradox forms, it is still a very usable fast stat that will work just fine against most other Pokemon. Now, the signature move of Greninja is Water Shuriken, which is a special water type move that, while each hit is only a base power of 15, it can hit 2 to 5 times, so going from 30 base power all the way up to 75. The good thing about this move is that it is actually a priority move, and is technically the most powerful priority move in the game if it gets all 5 hits. Editing me here, I need to correct the idea of Water Shuriken being the most powerful priority move because for some reason I forgot E-Speed existed, which is 80 base power and also has faster speed priority. Though technically E-Speed is not super effective on anything, so if you count super effective damage, Water Shuriken is technically more powerful. But just wanted to clarify that so you don't have to tell me in the comments, hey, E-Speed's better than Shuriken, you nub. Anyway, back to the video. This does get access to other water type moves such as Hydro Pump, Surf, Water Pledge, and Hydro Cannon. And on the physical side, there's Liquidation as well as Waterfall. And for dark type moves, there's Night Slash on the physical side, and there's Dark Pulse on the special side. And this Pokemon does have access to various ice type coverage like Ice Beam and Blizzard, as well as a physical poison type move in the form of Gunk Shot, and even get some more oddities like Grass Knot and Rock Slide. Moves that typically would not be the best choice for this Pokemon, but it does have them. This does also get U-Turn to cycle it out. As for supportive moves, there is Haze, Roleplay, which is kind of a funny move. It does get access to arena traps like Spikes, as well as Toxic Spikes. It also gets Taunt and Sword Stance, Icy Wind for speed control, Chilling Water to lower attack, and also Switcheroo for some interesting shenanigans, and also Brick Break to go through screens. Greninja doesn't really have the biggest moveset out there, and a lot of the better moves that it does have, there's just another Pokemon that kind of does that role better already. So if you wanted to use this for speed control, for example, Iron Bundle is considerably better at that task. It also has better special offense than Greninja, though it does lack the good priority move. Having that really powerful freeze drive makes up for it. And you may want to use Greninja for priority water type attacks, but there's already Palafin, which has such a high physical attack stat that Jet Punch actually does more than Water Shuriken, even if you do connect all 5 hits. Which, in a way, Greninja should be really good in this game, because you have loaded dice to enable much more consistency on Water Shuriken and actually get some really nice damage out of it. The problem is, Palafin already does that without the item, and it just does it better, because Greninja gets walled by Iron Bundle, Flutter Mane, and Iron Hands. All 3 of those Paradox forms are quite common to see just everywhere. So having bad matchups into all three of those really hurts Greninja's chances of being good. Actually, based on that, I think Mamoswine's a better Pokemon than Greninja. We were talking about Mamoswine last video. I'm really struggling to see the role that Greninja can fit into, where it actually can play that role well. I think the power crawl of Gen 9, as well as the nerf to Protein, really makes Greninja hard to play in this format. Which, I'm talking about VGC. I don't know if perhaps Greninja could be better in singles, but I would suspect that it wouldn't, given the fact that it still gets completely outclassed by Palafin even in singles. I actually think Greninja's just missing moves to differentiate it and give it utility, because it doesn't get access to Parting Shot, which would make it considerably more useful if it did have access to that, and it also does not get Sucker Punch, which Sucker Punch would make its matchup into Flutter Mane a lot easier. But since it does not get that, and Water Shuriken being a special attack, so you're going to be hitting on Flutter Mane's rather high special defense, it just does not match up well into it, and doesn't really have answers for it basically at all outside of a defensive Terra. But even then, it doesn't have that great a bulk, so a Moonblast, even on a Fire Terra Greninja, would still do a lot of damage anyway. So Greninja doesn't have the speed to hang with the fast Paradox forms. It also struggles really hard against slower ones like Iron Hands that typically are Assault Vest and have a massive amount of special defense. So if I were to place Greninja on a tier list for VGC competitive viability, it's gonna be like bottom of C tier at best, because it gets outclassed by very popular Pokemon in this game that will just make it impossible to play. At least Mamoswine actually has a point that you can work with and get some very nice utility out of it. Greninja's not unique enough to have that utility, or even that surprise factor really. Priority special water type moves are cool, but I don't think that's enough to enable Greninja to be anything more than a somewhat low tier pick, for Gen 9 at least, because those Paradox forms are quite ridiculous. But anyway, if you can think of a way that Greninja would be viable in a doubles format, let me know down in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time.